Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and this is part 14 of the Sculpting Fantasy Miniatures tutorial. And here I want to show you, we're going to do the sword, both the swords, and here I'm showing you how I'm starting it out. I actually folded out a long flat piece of clay, and then I folded it right over the sword here. It's kind of hard to see, but I folded it over the tip. I started at the hand, folded it up over the tip, and then back to the hand. And what this does is it ensures that the clay totally covers the wire armature you have underneath. It's a nice little technique that I use, and it works really well. So now, an important technique that I wanted to show you in this part, in this installment of the video tutorials, is when you have an object that protrudes like this, a sword or some kind of a weapon, it can be difficult to work with. So what I do is I use two flat tools. Put a tool behind it, then I put a tool in front of it, and that way the tool behind it supports it while you're working it. See, like this. So you put the tool behind it, then put another tool in front of it, and then you can flatten it out and start to get the shape you want. Now this clay there's quite a bit of clay here. I will be removing a little bit as I go along, but I'm starting to make the sword get into the proper shape. So it's just a matter of constantly massaging that and starting to work the edges and the flatness of it and getting it into the shape of a sword. If you keep it reasonably straight, you won't have to worry about the wire armature sticking out at any point. And that's why we folded it over. Now I've rolled out small pieces of clay, and I'm going to be adding the guard to the sword. You simply put that on there and then press it in place and use a small sharp tool to get it to stick really well. And then we can further work on the shape of that with various tools. Yeah, I'm using some tweezers here. I'm going to manipulate it and keep working at it until I've got it into a nice shape, a guard shape, with the quillions in each side. Now I'm using an X-Acto knife to make some lines in the sword. These are the blood lines in the sword, and they make a great way for you to start the shape and sharpness of the sword. I'm going to do two of them just off center because I want the center of the blade to actually be ridged. So I'm just taking my time here, and I'm doing X-Acto with an X-Acto, just making some cuts in that blade. So you use any kind of tools you want to use, anything that works. You know, an X-Acto knife. Now the side of the knife also is very effective too for flattening it out. So use various picks. You can even use brushes, use your flats. Yeah, I'm going to use a pick here to accentuate that ridge in the sword. Now I'm using two tools to start to get the sharpness of the sword and bring it to a point. It isn't just for the flats of the sword, it's also to get the shape of the sides of the sword. So you can see, and I'll slowly get that to a nice point. And these sculpting tools are really nice for that because of the curves on them. Okay, I went ahead and did the rough shape of the sword in her left hand, just because I wanted to get that in before the clay started to set, before the polymer started to set, and I could work on it. But now I'm going to show you, I'm using the flat of an X-Acto here to get a sharp look on the sides, on the flats of this sword, and I'm going to continue to work on that, and I'll show you. But the side of an X-Acto knife here, or the side of a tool, can give you a nice flat look. Okay, the sword is starting to take shape, and you can see that I'm using the major technique that you're going to be using a lot when you're doing something like this, of making sure you have it supported behind. See, now I'm starting to put the lines in this sword, and I support it behind like that, and that way I can push on it without distorting it too much. The same thing goes for the top and bottom of the sword, like this. You do the same thing. You use two tools to shape that. I'm just about done with these swords, and I'm adding a little bit of detail work here. Now, once you've got your rough shape and your various surfaces laid in the way you want, you can start to add details. And one of the nice details you can do is just simply dots. Just puncture little dots with a very sharp object here. So I'm just making dots. It kind of adds texture right along, just along the base of the handle, just along the base of the sword here. And so I'm just about done here. Okay, I just wanted to show you here real quick. The swords are just about done. I'm going to tweak them some more, but I wanted to show you that the rest of the miniature is dry and hardened. So this is a good point now to use some of your files and start to do some detail filing and shaping. So it's never too late to continue to make that miniature just a little bit better shaped. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm also going to do that with the swords. Once those swords are dry, in say a few hours, I'll probably let it sit overnight, I can file those and get them looking even sharper. So you take your time with that. And so what I'm going to do is in the next chapter, I believe is the next installment, I believe is 15, I will prime it and paint it, and then you can see it completed.